Today I'm testing out some different fabric markers. So the ones I'm going to be testing are the Bohin chalk marker. Comes with some different coloured refills. Also the Chaco pens. These ones I actually got off AliExpress. They come in different colours, but I'm going to go with the pink one today. A silver pencil, and that's just a normal silver coloured pencil, not necessarily a sewing supply. Also the Clover Chaco pencils. So sometimes they come in single packets like this with a brush on top. Sometimes there's multiples. I have 3 colours here. I have white, this has just got a lid on it, pink and blue, and then they come with that brush to brush away. Also the loose powder Chaco pens, and they've got like this little kind of wheel on the end. They come in different colours as well, but I only have pink. Water Erasable Markers. This one is the thick one, and this is Clover's. It writes in blue. We also have the Sewline pencil, which has 3 different colours in it. It's got white, black and pink. And then lastly, this is a new one for me, it's still in its packet, the Sullivan's Multi-Mark. So I'm going to test all of those out on 3 different fabrics. We have a light colour, a medium, and also a dark. First thing I'll mention is that yes, there are quite a lot of markers there, but they're all temporary markers, not permanent ones. So the idea is you can mark your quilting designs on there, or if you need to mark where zippers start and end on bags, that kind of thing, you might want a temporary marker. You may notice that I'm not using the friction pens in this test, and that's just because I've heard reports that they do leave a mark. If it gets cold, it can come back again. Sometimes it doesn't completely disappear, so I'm not including that in this test. So this is the Bohin marker. It's got these little chalk refills, and then it comes with several white ones, but also different colours as well, and a pencil sharpener. One of the worst things about this is that it's hard to sharpen them. So it's hard to keep that point because it does wear down really quick, and it comes with a standard pencil sharpener. So when you put it in there, it's a lot smaller than the hole. So you have to kind of angle it to be able to sharpen it. But this is one of my favourite ones. I'll just leave the white one in there, and I'll show you how it marks. So this is on dark, medium, and light. So as you can see, white is a little bit too much for this one, but we could change the colour to something like green. You just press it down and pull it out. Keep it pressed down, put it in the little mouth, and then it will suck it back in there. As you can see, that's quite a definite line, and that's just because it's sharp. So it is better when it's sharp, if you can possibly do it that way. And this is how it marks on the other 2 colours. And to remove, I usually just brush, but it does leave a little bit more of a mark when it's on darker fabrics. They do provide an eraser. That seems to leave more scuff marks to me. I'm not sure how much these retail for. I think they're somewhere around the $20 mark, but they're reasonably good value because there's always a colour in there that will work for whatever project you're working on and what the fabrics look like. The next one I'm going to use is what used to be my favourite, the Water Erasable Marker. So there's no brushing it away. You actually have to definitely want to remove those marks by spraying it with some water. So it marks pretty easily on the light fabrics with the blue mark there. Lighter, medium fabrics, not so well. It's a bit like using a normal coloured pen. You're kind of competing with the colour in the fabric, and then it doesn't show at all on the dark fabric, so you would need to find an alternative for that one. They do also come in a thin point, but I find that it's a little bit too thin for how I work, and if you're using a thin point, it can kind of push the fabric and kind of crease it a little bit. Next is the Chaco liner, and these, as I say, come in different colours. They have like a wheel, and they dispense this chalk powder using these little metal teeth. With them being a little wheel, it is harder to do a curve or a point. So if you need to just do a point, this probably isn't very appropriate, but it is good for things like dressmaking patterns. And because the powder is loose, it does brush off easier than the pencil. And as you can see, it marks very well on all three fabrics, and that's just with that one colour. So it's a good all-rounder. Next is the simple silver pencil, and these are just available in craft shops. I discovered this as a marking tool from Sarah Fielke's Craftsy class. The first one, I'm not sure if she has other ones now, but this also marks on all three fabrics. However, it is harder to remove, so this is more of a solution when you're marking in seam allowances and that kind of thing, where it will not be visible on the surface of the fabric on the finished project. Next are these Clover Chacopel pencils, and they come in different colours. So I'm going to test all three at the same time. We have blue, which is visible on all three, pink, which is also visible on all three, and white, which as you can imagine isn't so great on the light one, but on the darker ones it shows up pretty good. And then it has this little brush, and that works pretty well as well, although it is quite abrasive and it can make your fabric kind of fluff up a bit. So use your judgment on that. It might still be better to use water, especially on the darker colours, because it does take a bit more work to get rid of that. This is the silver pencil. And then these are the Clover Chacopel colours. These three on the medium, and then all visible on the dark. This one is the Sewline 3-in-1 pencil. To change the colour, you rotate the lower part of the barrel, and then the colour it will be lines up with the clip. So if it's pointed to BL, that's black. Rotate it round to PI, it's pink, and WH is white. So I'll try all three colours out. Like any kind of mechanical pencil, you clip the end to make it pop out. Underneath the top is an eraser. Again, similar to the other ones, I don't find those erasers very effective, but it is there, and I suppose if you're using it on paper it would be useful for that. So I'm going to move a little bit further along so we don't get it confused with the other colours from the Chaco pens. And this has a bit more of a precise line because it's such a sharp point, but essentially it's very similar to the Chacopel pencils. You would just need to make sure you keep those sharp, whereas these stay sharp all of the time. And I did mention with the water erasable marker that you can get thinner points. Same is happening here, where if you use that on the fabric, it can, depending on how hard you press, kind of pull the fabric and almost kind of indent it. So you do need to be careful of that. So these are the marks from that pencil. We have on the light fabric, the white's hard to see, the pink's okay, and the black's very clear. We also have white, pink and black on the medium, and all three of those show up. And then on the black you can see the white, the pink, and then the black's harder to see, so it's just as you'd expect it to be really. With all of these, just makes a little bit of time to erase them carefully. The one that will disappear the quickest is going to be the marker pen. The other ones you will need to brush off over time. Also, as it goes onto your sewing machine foot, bits of dust, so for example from the Chaco line, will come off and leave a bit of dust on your machine. Just needs wiping off. It's not harmful to the machine. So these are Chaco Ace pens. I got a purple one, a white one and a pink one in my set, and I think they were only something like $4 from China. They did take quite a while to arrive, but I thought I would try those out because I do like a marker pen line. It is pretty much only visible, this particular colour, on the light fabric and okay on the medium, and you can't see it at all in the dark. We're going to try washing these out in a minute too. Lastly, I have this multi-mark, and I bought this from Emmeline Bags. I like trying out new tools, so I thought I would add that to my cart. So the end part is just for show, I think, because that has just come off in my hands. So I'm just going to pop that back on. Yeah, so that is so you know what colour you're getting, though you can look down here to see what colour is being selected. So that one's black, that one's pink, that one is white. So you just turn it to get the colour that you want and keep your eye on it down there, although it should line up on the top with the clip like we saw with the Sewline pencil. Now to move that down, the clip is actually the part that makes the lead come out the bottom. It did take a bit more than I expected, and it's quite a thick lead. I don't know if you can get refills for these. This pencil itself was under $10, so it's not that bad a deal. And I'm going to try all of the colours out. We've got 6 different colours. So this one is blue. And actually it goes on smoother than the Sewline pencil. So that's interesting. So it's a reasonably sharp point, but it's not scoring the fabric, it's not indenting it. You have to move the clip back up again in order to rotate it to choose the next colour, which is going to be red. And back down again. So the red is harder to see on the grey, but it's probably going to be quite visible on other medium colours like medium blues and that kind of thing. I haven't tried different colours out in this test. The white is near invisible on this light colour, as you'd expect, but the idea of having lots of different colours available in the pencil means you can find a colour that will work with the fabric that you're working with. So if you're going across a quilt and you've got lots of different colours in there, you can rotate it and choose a different colour as you work. So I've just done brown, this one's yellow. And then we've got green. And then we've done all of the colours. And it is quite a soft pencil. We started with blue, and then we went on to red, which is pretty good on the light fabric. Then white, which is invisible on the light fabric, but very good on the dark. Then we went to brown, which is nearly invisible on the grey, the medium grey, but pretty good on both the light and the dark. Then yellow, which you can't see on the light very well, but is good on the other two. And lastly, blue. Here's a quick summary of where we got to. I'm just going to hand hold the camera for this bit, so hopefully I'm not wobbling too much. We had the Bohin marker, and that's where I tried to erase it earlier. And this marker, we also used the green colour on the top there. So that is this one here, the Water Erasable Marker, pretty much only visible on the light fabric. Then we had the Chaco liner, that's the dusty pink line. Then we tried the silver pencil, and that's visible on all the layers too. Then the Chacopel Pencils, which are those 3 colours there. I'm just going to put them to the right of those colours. And then we had the Sewline pencil with the different rotating colours, these 3 here. So we'll put that there. Then we had the pink Ace pen as it's called. That's actually not so visible on all 3. It's better on the lighter fabric. It shouldn't be air erasable, but maybe those ones are a little bit more likely to fade quicker. And then lastly we tried out this multi-mark pencil with its 6 different colours, and we can see all 6 are on that, so you've got plenty of choice with that pencil. Now we're just going to try and erase those. Right, so I've just got a little pot of water here, rather than using my spray bottle because that's got starch in it right now. Just going to move these pencils out of the way because I don't want to get those wet. I am going to do a little experiment to see which ones disappear the quickest. Okay, so I'm just going to dip my finger in and just see if they erase that way. Now we did find the Bohin pencil was a little bit harder to rub off, but that's actually how I normally get rid of it. It's just every time I sort of see a line, I'll just kind of rub it with my fingers. But I'm trying the water on it this time because I've not actually got rid of it with water before. It doesn't seem to want to move the colour from the lighter one. So that's maybe a consideration that you might not want to use this on lighter fabrics. But it seems to be coming off okay on the 2 others. Now with the water erasable marker, we know this definitely works, and this is good on the lighter one. So maybe if you're marking dark fabrics, you would choose something like this, and on lighter fabrics, you would choose the Clover pen. So this is how I always get rid of the marks on there. That disappeared instantly, and you can't really see it on the dark one, so I'm not actually going to bother with that. So that was very quick, and I've never had problems with these pens. The only problem I've had is when they dry out and I have to buy a new one, because they're not as cheap as you would expect them to be. And they do make erasable ones as well, I just choose not to use that one, so that's not part of this test. Next we have the Chaco liner, and this is very dusty, so I actually find it easy to just kind of rub it with my finger to get rid of the line, which is what I've done on the medium. And I'm just going to try putting a bit of water on the darker one, just to help that one along. That almost makes it harder to remove the line, because you're kind of giving that powder something to cling to. Again, it's harder to get that off the lighter fabric, so just be aware of that. I'm going to try a bit of water on there as well. Not as easy. Silver pencil, I'm not expecting this to disappear at all with the water, and it kind of does come off the lighter fabric if you rub it with your finger rather than putting water on it. Better than I expected. So maybe it's not the end of the world if you accidentally use that for marking, but I would stick to using it for things like applique and that kind of thing, on seam allowances where you're not going to see it, maybe marking zippers on bags, that kind of thing. Next are the Chacopel Pencils, and I didn't have a lot of success using the brush on the end, but we're going to give that another go. I'm also going to put water on the darker one. And that kind of helps it along a bit. This brush is a bit abrasive, so be careful with it, because it does kind of bring some of the fibres out of the fabric. It does sort of slightly damage it, a bit like a sweater when you get it out of the washing machine and it's got those little balls on it. So just be aware that this is quite an abrasive brush, and you might want to try a different brush, like a paintbrush, to get rid of those marks instead. It doesn't do the best job. The best way it seems to work is if you brush along the line and you follow the line with the brush. That seems to have more success than side to side. Again, the lighter fabrics don't really like the brush. It's not really making a lot of difference there. I'm going to try a bit of water on it. And again, that stays quite hard as well, so maybe avoid using those on lighter fabrics. Next we have the Sewline pencil. Again, these are 3 colours too. These were the ones that were slightly more pointy. I'm going to try rubbing side to side with my finger. That definitely dulls the pink one, and then after that I would say the white one and then the black one. So the pink one is the one that's easiest to rub off. On medium fabric, on darker fabric, it appears that the dark line is easy to get rid of, but then that's harder to see in the beginning anyway. And on the lighter fabric, that dark line isn't moving at all when I rub my finger on it. I'm going to try a bit of water. That almost makes it spread. So you definitely don't want to be using this pencil on darker fabrics, unless you're going to put them in the washing machine, and that's probably enough to get it out. But if you're just casually dipping and spraying water on things and just brushing it and you're not washing it, you want to avoid that. Now I'm just going to use my cheap pen, which has already disappeared from the medium and the black fabrics. You can't see it at all. If I put water on it on the light, it's actually bringing out more. I don't know if you can see that, but that's just made it pop right out. If I rub it with my finger after it's got damp, it is making that go away, thankfully. But I feel like it's one of those you get what you pay for kind of situations. So if you buy cheap markers, do a test first. And that's what this is for me. Lastly, we have the multi-mark pencil and 6 different colours. So I'm just going to try swiping sideways. That doesn't seem to be moving the colours at all, which might be what you want. You might want it to stay on the fabric for a long time. If I rub it downwards, that's not really doing anything either. And then if I put water on it and rub it, not shifting very much either. It's not very good on the light. The water is working on the medium fabric. I'm just going to try it on the dark as well. And it works well on the dark apart from the yellow colour, so you might want to not use the yellow colour in this on the dark fabric if you aren't going to be putting it in the washing machine. So as a summary, if you're using light fabrics you have fewer choices. I would recommend the Water Erasable Marker from Clover for those lighter fabrics to guarantee that those lines will remove. The next one to disappear was actually the silver pencil, just the standard regular silver pencil. So that was surprising, wasn't expecting that result. And then after that the cheap pen did disappear. It took a little while, it looked like it was coming back and then it went away again. So it did kind of scare me that it was permanently marked, but it did do its job eventually. So that's what I would suggest for lighter fabrics. For medium fabrics, the pencil I like is this one. Although we did have good success with the Sewline multicoloured pencil as well. So it's kind of chalky pencils is what I would recommend there. Darker fabrics, I wouldn't use a white chalk or pencil just because those ones were the hardest to remove. Go for something like a pink. Out of the test, the pencils, I think, were the better ones, especially the blue and the pink. So as a little recap, light fabrics use a water erasable marker pen. Medium fabrics, the multicoloured pencils are great because you've got a few different options. And then for darker fabrics, this Clover 2-in-1 pencil, I think they come as separates as well. Pink and blue seems to be the winner here as well. However, if you're going to be putting the quilt in a washing machine, all of these should work out fine. It's just if you're creating a wall quilt and you don't want that kind of puffiness through putting it through the washing machine, that's what I would recommend. So I'll be doing other tool reviews and things. So if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll see more tool reviews coming up soon. Also, I've got an applique tiny rotary cutter coming up soon. Any tips and tricks I find while making patterns, I'm going to share them on the channel too, and then I usually do a video blog catch up every now and again as well. So if you want to subscribe, that would be great.